For everybody on the recording, I'm doing a TikTok live Q&A session. People come on and ask me questions about divorce. And no one's on here right now, but I thought I would just start talking through some of the things that I've been thinking about today, and especially the people for the people that have been going through the coronavirus and they're trying to figure out what spring break is going to be like. Hey, fam. Thanks for joining me. My name's Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney here in Salt Lake City, Utah, answering questions about divorce. And I'm kind of talking about the coronavirus right now and spring break and parent time and how to deal with all that, because I've seen a ton of stuff online about it. I've seen a ton of stuff about people who just don't want to follow their attorney's advice on this sort of thing. Hey, Rio. Hey, Bria. Thanks for being here. Talking about the coronavirus. So here are some considerations with the coronavirus and parent time, splitting up spring break. Consideration number one is you got to work together on this. That's what the judges, commissioners expect people to do during a situation like this, is actually work together. So you need to communicate with your ex. You really need to talk through things, decide what you're going to do about spring break, what you're going to do about parent time, how you're going to approach it together. The thing that judges do not want to see is people trying to grab time with their kids right now, or just being generally a jerk about parent time and excluding the other parent. You will just get slapped around by a judge so hard for stuff like that right now. So you really have to come together and work through these things. So that's the first consideration. The second consideration is if you have an attorney and you're going through the process, listen to your attorney's advice when it comes to spring break and parent time during the coronavirus outbreak. You're paying your attorney lots of money. And your attorney is the expert on a case, so listen to your attorney. I've seen a lot of forums out there, people talking on forums. They're essentially trying to wiggle the way around their attorney's advice and get out of it and say, well, I don't have to give my ex parent time, or we don't have to do spring break because of this, this, and this. No, just listen to your attorney. So that's second consideration. Third is not all areas are affected by the coronavirus in the same way. Seattle is the epicenter here in America, and it's affected in a very different way than, San Angelo, Texas, or West Virginia as a whole, which I don't think has any confirmed cases at all right now. So just, keep that in mind. If my ex were to, I don't have an ex, but if I were in that situation, my ex said, I'm going to take our kid, I'm going to fly to Seattle for spring break, I'd say there's not a chance in Hades that's going to happen. I mean, that's like the most dangerous thing you could do in America right now, is to go up there. But if you're going to drive a car, we're in Salt Lake City, Utah, if you're going to drive a car to St. George or to Moab, that's a totally different sort of deal, because it's a very different population down there. Aren't that many cases. So, you got to take that into account. Fourth consideration, and hey, everybody, thanks for being here. I'm kind of talking through some of the stuff with coronavirus and parent time, but if you have questions about divorce or custody, ask me and I will answer anything you have. Just going through these considerations. The fourth one is know and follow the coronavirus guidelines in your city and your state. So lots of cities and lots of states are handling this very, very differently. San Francisco, for example, is on complete and total lockdown. At this point, I don't even know if you could leave your house to walk your kid to your ex's house for a parent time exchange in San Francisco. I just don't know, but I know they've locked everything down in that city. And then some cities and some states are much more lax about it, so you need to know the guidelines and follow the guidelines in your area. And this is another communication issue. You have to communicate with your ex and talk through how you're going to approach these things, look at the guidelines in your city, in your area, and really get on the same page. No substitute for communication. Number 5 is air travel. This is the fifth consideration. Air travel is much less safe than car travel, as far as I can tell. So you get in an airplane and you're recirculating the air, doing all those sorts of things. In a car, you have much more control over your environment. So if your ex wants to, or you want to take your kid on a plane right now for spring break, not a good idea at all. Very bad idea, I think. But if you want to travel in a car for 100 miles or 150 miles, totally different thing. So that's another consideration. And then the last consideration is you need to trade time. If you can't do spring break, if it just doesn't work out, then you need to trade time with your ex in order to make up that time your ex is going to miss in spring break. So maybe if it's 7 days or 10 days or something like that, your ex is going to make up. You need to tack that on somewhere else, maybe to the beginning of your ex's summertime, right? So your ex gets an extra week or 10 days in the summer. Maybe you make it up over weekends over the next few months. But again, you need to work together. You need to trade the time to ensure that everybody gets the same amount of parent time. Because like I said, if you are seen as that kind of jerk parent that is taking advantage of a pandemic to get more time with your kid or exclude your ex from getting time with your kid, that is not going to work out well for you. So those are my 6 considerations for coronavirus and parent time during this spring break period. Okay, let's see what people are talking about here. Logan, do I have the coronavirus? No, I do not have the coronavirus. My family and I just got back from Italy last week, and we're in quarantine right now, but we weren't in a part of Italy that had any cases down there, so we're fine. But I do have an attorney in my office who has diabetes, and I don't really want to put her at risk, so we're quarantining for the next 14 days. Okay, let me see what we have here. Yeah, 0 TD Law. Thanks. I appreciate that a lot. Happy 0 receivables. So I'm going to talk through this a little bit. Our calls have been off by at least 50% over the last week. And since everything has just kind of hit the fan, we still have people coming in. We're still retaining clients because people are going to get divorced even now. There hasn't been a big credit crunch or anything like that, so people are still paying for things. But the calls have gone down, and I anticipate they'll go down this week, maybe in the next week until everything stabilizes. But who knows? We're dealing with it as best we can. People are still, like I said, people are still going to get divorced. They're still going to hire that out. They could put it off for a little bit, and you're going to have that kind of pent up demand. So whenever this passes, we're going to get a whole bunch of divorces happening, and hopefully it passes fairly soon. But yeah, it's going to mess up our billing and our receivables for a little bit. That's for sure. But that's okay. We're all in this together. We're all dealing with it together. TD Law, I'm dealing with the same thing. A lot of my work is transactional, so it's going to be a long month. Yeah, it's going to be a long month, man. It's gonna be tough. Hopefully you got some things in the pipe though, and you can make a go of it. I think acquiring new clients during this period is going to be the most difficult thing for attorneys. I've spoken with a lot of attorneys on forums all over the U.S. and some it's just dried up completely. Like one in Dallas, she was having a very, very difficult time just trying to think through how she's going to deal with this period, because especially criminal, in criminal law, a lot of cities are just not arresting people right now unless it's a violent crime. So that hiring a criminal attorney has gone kind of way down on the list, and she's really struggling with that, but she'll find a way through. All right, so we got Mia, Chrissy, yes. You're on here. I'm Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney. Ask me any questions you have about divorce, child custody, alimony. You want to ask me questions about being an attorney, anything like that, feel free. I will answer whatever you have. Yeah, so estate planning packages. Yeah, I could imagine. I can imagine that would work. The tough part about that is you're dealing with older people, and older people, I think, are the ones most likely to stay at home. So you have to kind of push that hard, but especially do phone consults and video conferencing consults with them. I think that would probably help out. And that's one of the things we've done is we've gone to telephone conferences and video conferences with potential new clients, which I don't like at all. I want to sit down and meet with somebody face to face across the table and talk to them and have that kind of interaction with them. But right now, people are asking for that, and I'm on quarantine anyway, so that's what we're doing. User 596. Thanks for being here. Got Shelby here as well. My name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City. Ask me any questions you have about divorce, child custody. Happy to answer them for you. Well, thanks. TD3 law, we'll hang in there. We'll stay safe. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. So same to you too. Hang in there and you'll be okay. It's rough for everybody right now, but you'll be all right. Okay, we got Shelby on the line as well. Shelby, thanks for being here. Happy to answer any questions you have about divorce or child custody. So ask away, everybody. We got Katie joining us as well. Katie, I'm Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake, answering questions about divorce, child custody, anything you need help with. Ask away, and I'll see what I can do. I always tell people this when I start these live sessions that, like I said, I'm a divorce attorney in Utah. I can answer Utah-specific questions. I don't know the law outside of Utah, really, because that's not how lawyers do it. Lawyers are state-specific. So I can give kind of general ideas on things if it's outside the state of Utah. And there's no attorney-client privilege here. No one's paid me. I'm just kind of helping out. So you got to realize that the stuff you put online, I'm going to read and other people are going to see. So Katie, thought of you today. Just want to make sure you're okay with the earthquake. Yeah. So we had a 5.7 earthquake here in Salt Lake at about 6:30, 6:45 this morning, I think. I just woken up. I stayed up a little bit late last night. I usually wake up around 5, but I think I woke up around 6:30, and about 10, 15 minutes after that, we had a 5.7. The epicenter was probably 10 miles from downtown Salt Lake, kind of a shallow earthquake. I come from Alaska, so it's a totally normal thing. It's called Monday in Alaska. This happens all the time, and it wasn't that strong. It was 5.7, isn't that bad. When you get into the 7s, those start rocking stuff around, but 5.7 was okay. I think this is the biggest earthquake Utah's had since 1992, so everybody's kind of flipping out because earthquakes are not a thing around here, but it was okay. No damage to anybody, no damage to anything. Maybe some stuff kind of fell over in a house somewhere, but we're okay. I appreciate you thinking of us, Katie. You lived through Northridge. Was that a specific earthquake? If it is, I don't know it, and I apologize for that. All right, you got White Pony. You got Aubrey on here. Amy, thanks for being here. My name's Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake. Happy to answer any questions about divorce, child custody, being an attorney, child support, alimony, anything like that. Ask away, and I'll help you out. Oh, the Northridge was in the 90s. Yeah, I think that was probably before my time then. I came to Utah to go to BYU in 1995, so it was probably a little bit before then because I don't remember that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll be safe. We're okay. Yeah. It is funny though. Everybody stopped talking about the coronavirus in Utah, and they're now talking about the earthquake. And I'm sure that'll go away tomorrow, but everyone's just kind of freaked out by it. Okay, everyone, ask away about divorce. Happy to help answer any of those questions I can. But we don't have anything on tap, so I'm going to do my normal thing when I do these and watch a little bit of Psych in the background and ask away. Hey, JRich12. My name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake. Happy to answer any questions about divorce, child custody, anything you need along those lines. So ask away and I'll answer. Got Isabella here. Isabella, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. My name is Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce, child custody. Got, I don't even know how to say this, Xena 2005. Appreciate you being here. Ask any questions about divorce, child custody. Happy to answer anything for you. Hibiscus, I think you were on here before, so you know the drill. Hey, Xena. Again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. Got some psych going on in the background like I normally do here. So ask away and I'll answer anything you have. Oh, Zena, what kind of questions do I ask? Anything having to do with divorce, child custody, alimony, parent time? That's what I do. I'm a divorce attorney. You can ask general legal questions, but I'm not going to be that good at it because I don't do anything else. So I don't know real estate law. I don't know criminal law. I really don't know any of those sorts of things. I'm a divorce guy. Me3Mine, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. We got Lilo and Stitch. Thank you for being here. My name is Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce and child custody. So ask away and I'll answer anything you got. Got XO, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Answering questions about divorce and child custody for you. Yeah, Zena, you can ask anything about divorce. Yep. All right, Zena, my father divorced his ex-wife before he got married to my mom, so I have 2 half-sisters. Yeah, that's pretty normal. Blended family is kind of hard. I imagine you having a hard time with kind of getting together and making a family out of that. I know I would have had a terrible time. I have 2 brothers, and I love them, but it was hard to like them when I was growing up, so I can't imagine trying to introduce somebody else's kids into the family. That would have been a disaster for somebody like me. Hey, Tommy, thanks for being here. I never know how to pronounce these handles, so if I butcher your handle, don't get mad at me. Also, if I get your gender wrong, because I just call everybody dude. So if I get your gender wrong and call you a man when you're actually a female, then don't get upset with me. It's just kind of the nature of things here. But my name is Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce and child custody. So anything you got, let me know. Happy to answer it for you. So Zena, who makes the decision to divorce first, the wife or the husband? It's a good question. So in America, the last time I checked, it was about 70%. 70% of the divorces were filed by women. They're the first ones to really kind of get the ball rolling. And I think I'm not sure why that is. I think 1, guys are kind of lazy. But 2, women are usually the ones that make decisions in families anyway a lot of the time, so they're the ones that pull the trigger first. Okay, we got Angie, DD4, 3 strikes, you're out. Thanks for being here. My name's Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City. Answer any questions about divorce, child custody, alimony, anything like that. You have it, ask away. I'll answer it for you. All right. I'm just going to say ones because that's the beginning of your handle. So ones. If I feel safer with my mom, can my biological father force me to go over to his house? Tell me how old you are, ones. And while you're doing that, I'm going to say until you're 18, and if there's an order of the court, then really you kind of need to follow the order of the court unless there's some amazing reason not to. And I'm talking real safety concern or something like that. If your dad's just kind of a jerk or you're going through kind of teenage angst, right? I was there. I did the same thing. I don't like my parents for a large part of my teenage years. I figured out it was my fault. But anyway, If that's the case, then you got to go over to dad's house. If he's beating you, things like that, you need to tell your mom, you need to tell the police, they can deal with it. But, generally, if it's just, I don't want to go to dad's house, you're going to go to dad's house anyway. Okay. So Zena, is divorce a good or a bad thing or both, and why? These are good questions. This is the way I think about it. Divorce is generally a bad thing. I think people give up on their marriages far too easily, unfortunately. I think a lot of marriages would be saved if people would put in the time and spend the money that they spend on divorce attorneys. If they spent that time and money working on their marriage, then they would probably save their marriage. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars and tons of time getting divorced. And if they were to just redirect to that and really work on their marriage, a lot of marriages would be saved. Not all of them, that's for sure, but a lot of them would be saved. Most of the time what I see is people just kind of drift apart and they don't really try hard in their marriage because they kind of get comfortable, and you can't get comfortable in your marriage. You can't get comfortable in any relationship that really means something to you. You can't get comfortable in your marriage because if you do, it'll go away. Can't get comfortable in school because if you get comfortable there and you don't try really hard, you're going to suck at school. You can't get comfortable in your relationship with your siblings. If you do, you're going to grow apart. You can't get comfortable in your relationship with your God because if you do, that relationship is going to go away or suffer. Same kind of thing in marriage. So you got to try really hard every day. So generally, I think it's a bad thing. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of situations, though, in which it's absolutely necessary. Domestic violence is the first one. If there's DV happening, then, or sexual abuse, anything like that, just get out, man. Not good, not good at all. I mean, deal with it the best you can. I understand why people try to make it work, but if it's repeated domestic violence, just get yourself out. You're going to get killed. Okay. Zena, what happens to the property of the husband and wife, and who's it go to? So in Utah, we really split it. That we're doing property division. It's usually split 50-50. Now, alimony and child support, those are taken care of differently. But if you have property, say, a house or money in the bank, 401ks, stocks, bonds, usually going to be split 50-50 between husband and wife. Yeah, house is going to get split 50-50 as well. 95% of the time people sell the house because they just can't afford it on their own. So you sell it, you pay off everything, and then you split the proceeds 50-50. These are good questions. All right, you got Nixie on, we got Rampair on. Ask me any questions you have about divorce, child custody. My name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City. So again, alimony questions, child support questions, anything like that, ask away, and I will help as best I can. And these have been good questions so far. I really appreciate the thought that's gone into these. All right, ones. My older brother lives with my biological father, and he won't let him come back over. Can he be arrested for that? Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, your brother lives with your biological father, and your biological father isn't letting your brother come back to the house where you are and you're living with your mom, if I understand that correctly. So can he be arrested for that? He may be arrested for that. So a lot of states, it depends on the state, but a lot of states have custodial interference laws, which is that you can't interfere with the other person's parent time in custody. And if you do, then you can be arrested. It's usually a Class C misdemeanor, maybe a Class B misdemeanor, depending on your state. But you can be arrested. Cops don't really like to arrest people for stuff like that, or even cite them for it, because they think, hey, it's a civil thing, not really a criminal thing. You need to go back to divorce court to deal with that. But I've had my fair share of cases where we had to defend clients because there was some mix-up in parent time and they got cited by a cop for custodial interference. So, maybe. Okay, Zena, if the parents get divorced, where does the child go? With mom or dad, or can they choose? You can always choose. So this is custody and parent time, and this really depends. There are lots and lots of factors that go into determining where kids are gonna go into divorce. Some states like 50-50 custody. So California, Arizona, they're big 50-50 proponent states. Utah's a little bit different in that we're not at the 50-50 stage. It's usually like a 70-30 split or maybe a 60-40 split. So that's the preference that they give it, but every case is super, super different. I mean, if you're both really, really involved parents with your kids and you split up and you live close to each other, then 50-50 is going to be on the table. If one of you moves away, so say you live in Salt Lake and you're moving to New York City, it's impossible to do 50-50 between those two places, so that's not going to happen. If there's domestic violence, abuse, these sorts of things, very unlikely you're going to have a 50-50 split. There's just lots and lots of factors that go into it. Okay. All right, we've got Mary here, Dr. Bray. Is it Thicknick? Yeah, Thicknick. Thanks for being here. My name is Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce and child custody, support, alimony, anything family law related, ask me, and I will do my best to answer for you. Well, thank you, Zena. I'm glad it was a good answer. Hopefully these are helping you out. They're good questions. They really are. All right, we got Mary on here. Oh, Mary, you got a good name, Figliozzi. I like that. That's a good Italian name. Where's your family from, Mary? Zena, does divorce cost any money? Yeah, divorce costs money. Divorce attorneys and attorneys in general are expensive. There's a good data set I saw that you're going to pay about $3,000 per side for a divorce attorney. So each person is going to have their own attorney. And on average, they're going to pay about $3,000. We cost more than that. So our average case here is about $6,000 to $8,000 to get you through the process. But we do this one thing and we charge more money than other people because we're better at what we do. So average is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4. We're about 6 to 8 on average. That one dump truck guy, thanks for being here. My name's Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce and child custody. So if you have anything, let me know. Happy to answer anything for you. And Mary, if you're still on, I'm still interested where your family is because I haven't heard that name for a while. I lived in Italy when I was younger, in my late teens, early 20s, and go back pretty often. But I haven't heard Figliozzi in that cognome in a long time. So, all right, ask away, people. I'm here for you. These have been good questions so far. Till I get the next one, I'm going to watch a little bit of psych here. Boy, I don't even know how to say that. Nemo, Bella, thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here. My name's Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce and child custody. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City, so ask away, help you with anything you have. Zena, is there anything called a divorce party? Have you ever seen one? Yeah, so I've seen divorce cakes, I've seen divorce parties. That's kind of a bigger thing. Some people are marketing for that sort of stuff right now, event planners. So yeah, I have seen that. I've never been part of one because I don't celebrate divorce in that way. I'm a reluctant divorce attorney. I would rather that I didn't have a job at all, to be quite honest. So I'm not gonna celebrate it like that. But I can understand, if you had an abusive relationship and you were in it for a long time and you're super happy that you're out, I can understand why you throw a party. I can understand why you get a cake. I can understand why you do all that stuff. Yeah. All right, we got Christine, Stephen, Luis. They're all here with us. My name is Marco Brown. I'm answering questions about divorce and child custody. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake, so ask away. I'll help however I can. All right, that one dump truck guy with full custody, how hard is it to get joint custody restored? Okay, so I'm assuming by the question, somebody has full custody and you want to go get 50-50 custody. So you want to change it after the divorce has been finalized. You want to try to get 50-50 custody. So if I'm wrong about that, dump truck guy, let me know, and I'll answer a different question, but that's what I'm going to assume here. So that's going to depend on a lot of things. Let's say that you've been divorced for a while and somebody has full custody and you want to go to 50-50. Well, you need to look at how much time you've been spending with the kids. So maybe instead of full custody, you've really been sharing 50-50 for the last couple of years, and that's going to make it much easier to then go back and say, hey, our divorce decree needs to reflect reality of what we've been doing, which has been 50-50. So that's really going to help out. But you have to have some kind of big change since the divorce decree that's happened that you didn't really see at the time of the divorce decree. So that's a standard in Utah, is a significant change in circumstance and unforeseeable at the time of the divorce decree. So, some things that aren't unforeseeable is getting remarried. You're never going to go get 50-50 custody just because you got remarried, because this is Utah and everybody gets remarried, right? So it's got to be kind of a bigger thing. So, let's say your ex is doing drugs, or she's moved 7 times, or he's denied you parent time a whole bunch of times. All of these things are going to kind of go into the mix, but it's got to be something big if you're going to make a real wholesale change. So hopefully that helps you out. If you want me to get a little more specific, dump truck guy, let me know, and I'm happy to get more specific about it. Right thing versus court opinion. That's Phil.E. Tell me what you mean by that, and I'll go over it with you. Okay, so Xena, what happens if one side doesn't want to divorce and the other side does? What will happen? So I think in essentially every state in the union now, one side can force a divorce to happen. It's called no-fault divorce. I think all but maybe one state now has no-fault divorce. But really one side can make it happen. The other side can kind of gum up the works a little bit and be a jerk about things and make you go to trial, so elongate the process, but the other side can never stop the process. If one person wants to get divorced, you're getting divorced. Just the way it is. Okay, dump truck guy, I have my son full-time. My ex wants him back, but he only wants to stay with his 2 hours every other week. Oh, okay. So you have full custody with your kid, and she wants more time with him. She's got to have a good reason, right, to change the divorce decree and to get more time. So you need to see what that reason is. It's got to be more than I want more time with my kid. That doesn't work at all. No judge is going to buy off on that sort of thing. So there's got to be something more than that. And depending on how old your kid is, your kid's opinion is really going to be dependent on this as well. So say you have a 16-year-old and the 16-year-old doesn't want to go, it's going to be really super hard. But you have a 4-year-old, it's a totally different ballgame. Mutant Scarlet question: gave my son's parental grandmother temporary legal custody for 2 years. Can I get him early? Oh, that's a great question. Okay, let me go look at that. So this is how it would work out in Utah when we do guardianships with minors. And it's a voluntary guardianship. So a parent gives an aunt guardianship or a grandparent guardianship or something like that. You can do it for an extended amount of time, kind of an indefinite amount of time. But if at any point you want to come back and terminate the guardianship, get your kid back, you can do that automatically here in Utah. All you have to do is go terminate the guardianship. It has to be in court, though, so you need to go get an attorney to help you out to figure this thing out. But here, you can just terminate it and automatically get your kid back because you haven't actually given up any of your rights to your children. You've just kind of given some guardianship rights to one person, but you can come back at any time and terminate that and get your kid back. In other states, I don't know what that's like, but I would imagine if it's a voluntary relinquishment of guardianship, then there has to be a really, really simple way for the parent to go get the kid back. Now, if you gave up guardianship because the Division of Child and Family Services came in and saw that you're a crackhead or that you're doing heroin or something like that, that's a different ballgame, and you have to deal with the Division of Child and Family Services or Child Protective Services, whatever it's called in your state. That's a totally different deal. But if it's voluntary, then you just go get your kid back. But talk to an attorney about it and make sure you do it right. Steven, my ex only has visitation that she doesn't show up to. Excuses, months between visits. I'm scared to send the kids overnight because of the prior neglect. DHS says she's unstable. Division of Human Services would be DHS. Okay. Yeah, I'd be freaked out about it too. Here in Utah, when it's been a very long time since a parent has seen a kid, we can go back into court and get what's called a reintroductory period. So we actually change the court a little bit and say, hey, look, parent hasn't exercised parent time for 6 months or a year, and the kids are freaked out. They don't really know the parent anymore, so we need to get a reintroductory period. So you might think about something like that, Stephen. Let me see if I can find this. No, I still can't. Sorry. I'm looking at Phil E. Chat Scroll Part 1 above. Okay. Positive or symptomatic child isolate at affected parent or court going to force placement. Let me see here. I'm confused a little bit by the wording here. So Phil E, just write it again for me, and let's get it all in one place and go through it. Dump truck guy. Okay, good. I'm glad that helped you out, man. Okay, Zena, can both sides parents interfere or do anything that will change the divorce, or is it none of their business? Oh, we're talking grandparents now, I would assume. No, grandparent they can't do anything. No, it's on the parents. It's the parents and their order. Grandparents can't do anything at all, for the most part. Well, I mean, not even for the most part. They just can't do anything. Mutant Scarlet, perfect, thank you. Getting married to a soldier, and I'm worried about her trying to keep me from him. Yeah, that's always a concern. Sorry you have the concern, but hopefully that works out well. And thank your fiance for the service that they're doing right now. It's a big deal. Zena, okay, good. Glad I was able to answer your question, Zena. Appreciate it. Steven, thank you. Kids don't want to talk on the phone, but see in person. Okay, if I remember correctly, you were the one that was worried about sending them there overnight. If you're worried about sending them there overnight, honestly, then... Oh, sorry about that, guys. I'm not great about this. So, okay, good. If you're worried about sending them overnight, one of the things to think about is doing some FaceTime. It's kind of reintroduce the kids. Because the kids do need their parents. I mean, and that's just the way it is. They need them, so I would do some FaceTime. I'd really try to figure that out. All right, Zena, thanks. Mutant Scarlet will do, thanks. All right. Happy I could help you guys. Okay. I think that's it. Man, this thing's killing me. Okay. I think that's it for the questions so far, but ask away on the other ones. Phil E, I still didn't see that full question. I'm sorry if I'm kind of being obtuse about that, but I do want to answer your question. Just write it all down, and then we'll get to it. Okay, let's keep them coming, guys. So I'm just going to say TC. Oh, Kristen. Okay, Kristen. My ex takes the kids from our city 2 hours away on his weekends. There's a shelter in place. There's a shelter order in place, maybe? Is that what you're saying? Close to that area. Do I have options for keeping him from going there with them during all of this? I assume you're talking about the coronavirus. So is he taking him just like on vacation 2 hours away, or is that where his house is, Kristen? So tell me that. That'll help me out a little bit. So Steven, they do FaceTime, but it's hit or miss if they want to talk to her. Yeah. I understand they're kids, right? Like my kid, I have a 12-year-old and he doesn't want to talk to me on the phone because kids just don't really want to talk on the phone. Honestly, the best thing you can do as a parent is just encourage them, say, look, you got to talk on the phone. Here it is. Go do your thing, right? I mean, you don't need to like browbeat them into it, but you really do need to stress the importance of your ex and having a relationship with your ex and all of that sort of stuff to kind of get your kids into it. Okay, Kristen. Phil E., I'll get to this in just 1 second here, man. Yes, that's correct. No, he takes them to his girlfriend's house. He lives in the same city here. Oh, okay. So on the weekends he has them. He takes them to his girlfriend's house. Can you keep them from doing that because of the coronavirus? That's really, I think that's going to depend, but I think that's a tough argument to make because it's not like he's going on a vacation to, Seattle or Miami or something. He's going to his girlfriend's house. So I'd imagine a judge would be okay with that. And judges really want people to work together right now through this coronavirus period. So I probably would not deny him the ability to go out there. I think you're probably just going to get in more trouble than it's worth. Now, I mean, if there are real safety concerns, right? She has a kid with coronavirus or something like that. Obviously, that's got to stop. But just generally traveling 2 hours to be over there, probably not. And you're in a car. Car is a much better environment for keeping safe from coronavirus than like a plane, because in a plane you're there with 200 other people and you're recirculating air. It's like a perfect place to get the virus. But a car, you can control that environment. Totally different. Okay, so Phil E., let's do this. So if a child has symptoms or positive diagnosis, will the court force placement or is staying for 14 days at affected house? Okay, right. The right thing versus the court opinion. Oh, I understand. I understand what you're talking about now. Okay. And if I don't understand, because I'm going to answer the question, if I don't understand or I got it wrong, then you let me know. So let's say, there's sorry, we're having a little bit of an aftershock here. So we'll get through this. We had a 5.7 earthquake here in Salt Lake earlier today, and we're having a little bit of an aftershock now. So if the child has symptoms or a positive diagnosis, so symptoms and a positive diagnosis are two different things, because some of the symptoms of coronavirus, as I understand it, not a doctor, as I understand it, kind of have a confluence with the flu as well. So symptoms and a positive diagnosis are two different things. A positive diagnosis, the kid just needs to stay in the house. At that point, you got a positive diagnosis, the kid should not be leaving the house at all. I don't think with a positive diagnosis, the kid should have parent time. It's just like where the kid gets diagnosed stays for 14 days until treatment, because positive diagnosis isn't really 14 days. It's until the treatment is done, right? So you get through that kind of treatment period and then you can go back and forth, and that's okay. If there are serious symptoms and you think the kid legitimately has it and you need to quarantine for 14 days, then what do you do? What's the right thing to do? Probably the right thing to do is just keep the kid where the kid is for 14 days and then work. And if that means that the other parent doesn't get parent time during that period of time, you kind of trade off time, right? So the other parent doesn't deserve to lose parent time because of this pandemic. So let's say the parent loses a week during that 14-day period. Well, you need to make up for that week somewhere else. So you need to trade that time. Does that make sense? I don't know exactly what a court will say about it, to be honest, because courts are going to deal with it a little bit differently. But I think the way I'm thinking through it is probably how a court would think through it as well. Okay, Kristen, that makes sense. Thank you for the response. Yep, absolutely. It was a good question, really good question. I appreciate you asking it. All right, Steve, to continue my last, I'm trying to do what is best for the kids based on their therapist's advice. Yeah, I can try to follow the therapist's advice, right? The therapist's advice, however, does not give you license to go against your divorce decree and the parent time, that sort of thing in your divorce decree. If you really think it's a big deal and you need to change parent time, communication, schedule in the divorce decree, then you need to go back to your attorney and go back to court and actually change it. Because the therapist cannot change that sort of stuff. Therapists can give you ideas on what to do, but they cannot change a court order. You're not a therapist, but if she is a narcissist and has affected the kids, yeah, okay, so that kind of gets into the same thing. So if she's a narcissist, then the therapist is kind of gonna deal with that. But if she's a true narcissist and it's really affecting the kids poorly, then again, you need to take that information back to the court and try to modify your divorce decree to deal with that reality that you have. Phil E, thanks. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, man. Rye bread. Why did my parents get divorced, buddy? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. Lots of people get divorced for lots and lots of different reasons. Infidelity is a big one. I'm not saying that's what happened, but infidelity is a big one. People just falling out of love because they're not trying hard enough is a big one. Abuse is a big one. I don't know. There are lots and lots of reasons. Loving Stars. You should play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. I have no idea who that is. Is that a character on TV? I don't really watch TV. Although I'm watching Psych in the background here, but yeah, I don't really watch TV too much. So tell me who that is. Steven, thank you. Yep, absolutely. Rye bread. Yeah, sorry I couldn't give you a better answer there, but it's a good question. And I'm sorry you're going through this, right? It's super hard on kids to go through divorce. It's almost always harder on the kids than it is on the parents. And a lot of times parents don't realize that. And they just kind of expect their kids to be little adults. And kids aren't. They're not little adults. And they absolutely hate divorce the vast majority of the time. So I'm sorry you're going through that, man. It's a game about being a lawyer. It's really interesting. Oh, okay. I'll have to look at it. What's it called? Let me see what it's called again. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Okay, I'll ask my son if he's ever seen it, because my son plays games. I'm 43, so I'm like ancient in TikTok years, and I never played games when I was a kid either. I was not into stuff like that. I was the television generation when I was a kid, so I watched too much TV. But we barely had Nintendo when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that. So I never really got into video games. Yeah. And now I don't really watch TV much anymore at all. We actually don't even have cable. That was the last thing I gave up because I really do enjoy football. But yeah, it just wasn't worth it anymore. So we gave up on cable. If we want to watch something, we just watch Netflix or Amazon Prime anymore. Okay, these have been great. It's been great questions so far. Loving Stars, do you like bikes? What kind of bikes? Are we talking motorcycles? Or are we talking mountain bikes, road bikes? What are we talking about? Any bikes? I don't have one right now. I grew up in Alaska and we mountain biked a lot. So that was fun. I enjoyed that quite a bit, but I don't have any. I don't have a motorcycle. I do enjoy motorcycles. I enjoy riding them, but I don't have one right now. I'm boring. I have a Toyota Avalon. So it's like a grandma car, but I love that car, man. It speeds well and it has lots of room in it. So that's what I care about. Okay, we got Casey here. We got Julie. My name's Marco Brown, everybody. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City, so ask me any questions about divorce and child custody. Happy to answer anything. I don't know what a train is. Are you talking an actual train, or is a train a food of some sort? I can tell you what my favorite food is. My favorite food is pizza. And because that's how we know God loves us. That stuff is fantastic. I go to Italy quite a lot. That's how I deal with my stress as a divorce attorney. And I eat pizza over there all the time. Go to Naples. Naples is where we have the pizza that we generally think of as pizza. That's where it originated over there. And I've eaten at all the best places. And there is nothing better in the world than a good Italian pizza, let me tell you. All right, you got DPE, hotelier lady. I don't even know how to say that. I apologize. Wyatt, thanks for being here. My name's Marco Brown. I'm answering questions about divorce and child custody. So, child support, alimony, anything along those lines, ask me and I will answer. I'll try to help you out as best I can. Hey, I'm just going to call you lady. It's hotelier lady. I don't even know how to say it, but hey there. Appreciate you being here. Ask me any questions you have about divorce and child custody. Happy to help out any way I can. Yeah, I kind of wondered if that was the thing. You're working in a hotel. To be honest with you, I just don't know how to pronounce that that word, and I've never known how to pronounce that word. So I assume it's probably French, and I pronounce everything French in the worst American accent possible. So I just don't ever say those words. All right, I got Kristen. My ex owes $31,000. How do I begin the process of getting it back, and do I have to hire a lawyer? So does he owe, I'm just going to assume it's a he. Does he owe $31,000 in back child support or back alimony, Kristen? Tell me that. Oh, lady, you're a Filipino based in Dubai. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. We had, when I was living in Italy, we had a lot of Filipinos that were based in the hotels. They worked in the hotels and they worked as housekeepers as well. So, but that was back in like the 90s, right? I don't know if it's different now. I do know that I think half of the nurses I interact with here in Utah are Filipino though. So we get tons and tons of our nurses from the Philippines here, which is great. They're great. Or can I request he pays for the lawyer if he's the reason I have to take that back? Let me see here. Yeah, tell me, again, Kristen, tell me if it's, it's child support. Part of it's alimony. Okay, so here's what you do. One, there are a couple different ways to deal with this. On the child support, you can go aspect, you go to the Office of Recovery Services in your state and say, hey, he's down on this. Now, the Office of Recovery Services, it's a big bureaucracy, and they usually won't take care of this very much. So the second way to deal with it, and the more effective way to deal with it, is to go to the court and file what's called an order to show cause, which is really a motion for contempt. And the contempt is he hasn't paid. So you kind of lay out to the court, this is how much he owes me. He stopped paying at this point. These are the monthly amounts that he owes. This is the total. So he owes me $31,000, and part of this is child support, and this part is alimony, and he hasn't paid me. And you just lay all of that out for the court. And then the court will give you a judgment. At the very least, I would think, if you can prove it up, the court will give you a judgment for the $31,000, and then you have to go collect that $31,000 from him. So maybe you either get that from his job, and getting money out of his paycheck, garnishing his wages, or he has a car, or he has a bank account, or it's his tax return or something like that, and you go and you can collect on that judgment. Let me see if I was missing anything else here. Oh, and can he pay for your attorney? Yes. So when we file orders to show cause on non-payment of child support and alimony, we ask for that person to pay our attorney's fees. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But when it's child support, there's a very, very good likelihood, at least here in Utah, that the court is going to make him pay for the attorney because you had to spend money that you wouldn't have otherwise spent. So your thinking along this line is absolutely correct. Now, whether you should go hire an attorney to help you out with this, at $31,000, that's a chunk of change, and there are attorneys that will definitely take that case. I won't take child support enforcement actions for anything less than like $5,000 because it's just it's going to cost too much for my client, and there's too little money in it. But at $31,000. You can get buy-in from an attorney, and then you can have that attorney tack on his or her attorney's fees when you go to court. So yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it. And you need to hire an attorney. You don't need to hire an attorney. You can do it on your own. You can probably Google some order to show cause templates in your state and use those. So if you want to save money, you can. Everything goes smoother when you hire an attorney though, because the attorney knows exactly what he and she is doing. I mean, so in our office, we only do divorce, and we are up on it, man. I mean, we've helped so many people that we know exactly what we're doing. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're inventing the wheel, and that's tough. Okay. Child support services, they order him to pay it back. Yeah, so just go get the judgment. Go get the judgment, Kristen. He's self-employed, so they aren't garnishing. So you'll have to find some other way when you get the judgment. You'll have to find some other way to get the money, whether that's his bank account, maybe his business bank account, and cars, anything like that. You can essentially take any of his stuff, right? But when you get to that point and you're trying to enforce that judgment like that, you absolutely need an attorney to figure out how to do that, because you're not going to be able to do it on your own. I don't even know how to do it. I tell people to go to other attorneys who specialize in that sort of thing in order to get that done. So you definitely won't know how. Hotel lady, yeah, I'm in the United States. I'm in this state of Utah, here in Salt Lake City. Kristen, do I work in California? I do not work in California because those people are crazy out there. I know California attorneys. I know a lot of California divorce attorneys, and bless their souls. I'm glad they work in that place, but freaking crazy laws, and it costs way too much, and cases take way too much time in California. I would never work in California. Okay, hotel lady. Is it true I can file divorce in Las Vegas, sending that papers to the Philippines where my ex-husband is staying? Okay, so you're in, if I understand this correctly, you're in Dubai working, and he is in the Philippines, staying in the Philippines, and you want to try to get divorced in Las Vegas. I don't think that's going to work, because we have this idea of jurisdiction, and jurisdiction is which state has authority, which country and which state has authority over you at this point. And to get jurisdiction, you have to be in a place, right? You have to essentially be physically present in a state for a period of time. So if you're in Las Vegas or in Nevada for a while, then Nevada will have jurisdiction over you and your marriage and your stuff. But if you've moved to Dubai and you haven't been in Las Vegas for a while, and he's in the Philippines, then that's not really gonna, I don't think that's gonna work out. I mean, you want to go check with an attorney in Las Vegas just to be absolutely certain about that, because I'm not a Las Vegas attorney. But my general understanding of these things, if it were in Utah, and my general understanding of other states is, if you're gone, if both of you are gone from those places, you're in foreign countries, it'd be very, very difficult to try to effectuate a divorce in a state where neither one of you live, in a country neither one of you live in. So, but, call up a Las Vegas attorney just to make absolutely sure. Kristen, it's a bummer. Thank you. It's great advice. I hope so. I appreciate that. Sorry I couldn't get you a little bit better advice, but I'm a divorce attorney, so a lot of my job is just helping people manage train wrecks. And I don't always tell people what they want to hear, and that's difficult. So, but they were great questions, Kristen. I really appreciate it, and it was a privilege to answer them for you. All right, we got Ken, McDonald's, Whopper, KMC 627. Ask away. My name's Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City. Ask away on any questions you have about divorce, child custody, anything like that. How long should I be in the state for me to file? Hotel lady, that's going to depend on the state. So here in Utah, if you are here, you are physically present. You don't have kids, but you are here physically present for 90 days, then you can file for divorce here in Utah. I don't know what it's like. It's either 90 days or 6 months, depending on the state, but a lot of them are 90 days. The other ones almost universally 6 months. I think there may be ones that are like a year. You have to be there for a year before you can file. But that's probably like North Carolina, South Carolina. Some of those East Coast states, they have a really long jurisdiction period. Most of them are like 90 days to 6 months, though. Okay. Kristen, no, it's perfect. No, I know I just need to go hire an attorney. Yeah, you need to go hire an attorney. If you need to, Kristen, if you need to find an attorney in your area, just kind of let me know. DM me and remind me about the conversation that you're in California and what part of California, what you need help with, and I'll check around. I have divorce attorney friends all over the country, so I'll check around and see who I would refer you to. So if you want to do that, like I said, DM me with the info and I'll get it to you. Okay, we got Paris on here. We got Adam on here. Guys, I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City, Utah. My name's Marco Brown, answering questions about divorce, child custody, alimony, anything along those lines you need help with. Just ask me and I'll see what I can do. Kristen, thank you. I will. Good. Yeah, DM me. I'll help you out. Okay. I don't have any standing questions. If I don't get any in the next couple minutes, I'm probably going to take off. My wife made lunch. I am on quarantine now, which is why I look like this, and I'm not in my normal suit attire. But yeah, I'm in. My whole family and I are on quarantine. We're on, I think, day 7 or day 8, so I got another week of this. I'm going crazy, man. I'm just going absolutely nuts. I walk like 10 miles a day because that's the only thing I can do outside. So I'm going to be happy when this is over, let me tell you. Okay, hotel lady, hopefully 6 months. I have a tourist visa that's still valid until 2026. Yeah, I mean, if you come back here, even if you're on a tourist visa, as long, well, that's not quite correct, actually. So if you're here, if you're in a jurisdiction, in a state with the intent to remain in the state and you've been here for the requisite amount of time, then you very likely can file for divorce and have it go through in that state. But again, dependent on the state, you need to contact an attorney in that state to make absolutely sure of these things, because you don't want to go to a state and be there for 90 days or 6 months and then not be able to file for divorce. So you need to talk to an attorney in the specific state where you want to go. Okay. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to get off and end this session, and I'll be back, later today, or maybe tomorrow, something like that. I'll answer any other questions you have about divorce and child custody. It's been a privilege. I really thank you. These are great questions to answer.